This new law will impact 35 million plus businesses, and no one's talking about it. Hey everyone, Adam Bergman here, tax attorney and founder of IRA Financial. Welcome to another episode of Adam Talks. And this is the last episode, probably gonna be the last episode of 2023. So I want to wish everyone a happy holidays, happy, healthy new year. Hope everyone has only good in 2024, only happiness and health and prosperity for all of us and you and your families. But the last thing I kind of wanted to talk about in 2023 is a law that's going to go into effect in 2024 for all new entities and all existing entities, whether you're an LLC, corporation, C Corp, S Corp, that have less than $5 million in revenue and 20 or less employees. You need to file what's called a beneficial ownership interest or BOI report with FinCEN within 90 days of forming a new company, or you have the whole year, the whole 2024 for all existing companies to comply with FinCEN. And this is a massive, massive new law. I've done a bunch of podcasts, videos, and blogs on this, but I wanted to end 2023 with this particular podcast because it's the most significant new set of rules that will apply to small businesses, I think, ever. We've never been forced to disclose this type of information to the federal government. So this is, arguably could be a slippery slope. It's a game changer in terms of the new type of information and data the federal government will have about small business owners. So I'm going to spend a little bit of time on today's podcast going through the new Corporate Transparency Act, the beneficial ownership interest requirements, BOI, which will need to be disclosed to FinCEN within 90 days of creating a new entity starting in January 1, 2024. Or if you have an existing entity that you've established before January 1, 2024, you have the whole year to comply with this BOI report requirement. So it's expected to impact close to 35 million companies. Okay, that's why I said it's massive. No one's talking about it. I read, tons of, publications, tax-related, business-related, from the Wall Street Journal to Tax Notes, to RA Checkpoint, to different SEC asset-based publications, and I have not seen hardly any discussions on this. It's just so crazy. I'm kind of flabbergasted that there's just not a lot of chatter about this, where it's a new law where it could impact close to 35 million existing businesses and close to 5 million new businesses each year. So the CTA was created, started beginning January. It's going to start beginning January 2024. It came into effect in 2021. So when these rules were promulgated, there were several years of comments period, but they're coming into law in a couple of days. Okay. So this is a Happy New Year, Merry Christmas, Happy New Year. Your life will change. And if you set up a new entity in 2024, if you have an existing entity, you better comply with FinCEN, because if you don't, penalties up to $10,000, and guess what? Potentially up to 2 years in jail if they can show willful neglect. So this is no joke. Who has to comply? Well, essentially any entity that is not exempted. And who's exempted? Well, essentially the largest category of exempted companies are tax exempts, also like banks, IRAs, 401ks, which is great. But any business that has more than 5 million in revenue and 20 employees are exempted, right? So Apple, publicly traded companies, or even small and mid-sized companies with 20 or more employees and $5 million of gross revenue, you don't have to comply with the FinCEN requirement, which is good. But if you have less, it's a 5 and 20 employees, 5 million and, it's not or, then you have to comply. So this is going to impact as I mentioned, close to 35 million companies that will have to comply with the BOI report throughout 2024. Okay, what do they want to know? They want to know the owners that have at least 25% ownership, okay, or anyone that has significant authority or substantial control over the company. Okay, so it's a pretty broad definition. It could be someone who's a senior officer, someone who can appoint, remove officers, a manager, a president, CFO, CEO. Pretty broad category of people. And basically, the federal government saying, hey, even if you own less than 25%, if you have control over this entity, we want to know who you are. And they want to know your name, your address, and some identification number from a passport or driver's license, state ID. Okay, so it's important to remember this impacts even if you own less than 25%. If you have control or substantial control over the operations, they want to know who you are. And if you fail to comply, $10,000 in penalties and up to 2 years in jail. So initially, for new companies starting in 2024, it was a 30-day requirement. Once the company was formed, within 30 days, you have to comply with this FinCEN requirement and file a BOI report. They have now expanded that to 90 days to give us all a little bit more time to comply, which is great. But any existing business that was created before January 1, 2024 has all of 24 to comply. Okay, once you comply, you're good. If there's any changes in the company, like the address change, the name change, change of management, you have to, within 30 days of that change, resubmit an amended BOI report. So it's an ongoing reporting regime where the federal government wants to know what's going on. They also want to know your physical address. They can't use a mailing, PO box. So this is a game changer, and it's important that we focus on it because I know there's holiday shopping and New Year's parties and holiday parties and all this great stuff, really from Thanksgiving all the way up until New Year's Eve. And then once New Year's Eve stops and ends and New Year rolls around, everyone's kind of in that hangover period for a couple of weeks where they don't want to think or deal with anything. Well, guess what? If you start an entity in the beginning of January, you're going to have 90 days to comply. You only have all of 24 to comply if you set up a company before 2024, whether it's a C Corp, S Corp, LLC, as long as it's not a charity and it's a company with less than 20 employees and less than 5 million in revenue, you're going to have to comply, okay, and file this BOI report. Now, in the case of self-directed IRAs and solo Ks, if the IRA or 401k invested directly into an entity, it owns less than 25%, and the IRA owner, the 401k trustee, is not exercising substantial control, there's probably not going to be any BOI report. But if you have a checkbook control IRA LLC, you have a solo 401k that owns an LLC, you do a ROBS where a 401k owns a corporation, those entities in question, the LLC or the corporation, will need to comply with the BOI report and submit it to FinCEN within 24, or for new companies, within 90 days of establishment. Thankfully, if you're a client of IRA Financial, we will provide the service to our clients, so you don't have to worry about FinCEN and all that other stuff, and we'll take care of it for you. So that's for all clients that are in good standing with our compliance service. This is something we're going to do for you. So we're really proud that we're going to be offering that service. But all in all, this is the biggest new set of rules impacting small businesses in our lifetime. It's quite remarkable that there's not much out there in terms of opinion pieces. I thought you'd see potential Supreme Court challenges to this stuff. It's, some argue, a very steep government outreach and overreach. The government has access to this data through audit, so they can't argue that they don't have this data. They could and do have it. They don't have it in one nice compartment, but they do have access to it. And basically what this CTA is it's basically packaging it in a nice gold suitcase for the IRS and all their AI computer systems to comb through this data and kind of find all the information they need. They claim they're going to use this to stop money laundering and terrorism, which we're all in favor for. The issue is there's easy workarounds, right? Most of these are a lot of the bad actors actually set up charities in the US, and charities are exempt from this. Also, if they just have a company which is 5 million in revenue, 20 more employees, they're exempted from this. They can keep their ownership down and then just submit US folks that are straw men for the company. So some of these bad foreign actors can kind of still stay behind the quote unquote shutters and still be shuttered off from FinCEN's glaring eyes. So that's the intent. I think it's an overreach. I'm surprised again there's not much angst over it, or at least more anger from the part of business divisions, chambers of commerce, business type organizations, as a way of impediment to small businesses, government overreach. But I don't know, I guess people are busy with other stuff, worrying about other issues we have, like the border or the wall or foreign policy issues or the election or whatever. But people are just not focused on this, which is kind of shocking considering how significant these rules are under the Corporate Transparency Act and the BOI report requirement. So I'm going to end it on that. I hope I didn't ruin anyone's New Year's. There'll be a lot more chatter about this, a lot more discussions I will be doing through podcasts and videos and blogs. And don't worry, if you are a client of IRA Financial, we're going to help you with this. If you formed an entity before 2024, if it's Checkbook or Rob's, we'll help you. If you're a new client setting up new structures, obviously we're going to assist you as well. Don't worry. But this doesn't just apply to checkbook control structures. This applies to for-profit businesses, right? Under 20 employees and 5 million in revenue. The company was set up after 24. You'll have 90 days to comply. It was set up before 2024. You're going to have all 24 to comply. And if you don't comply, go to jail, potentially, and at least $10,000 in fine. So this is not a laughing matter. This is not a joke. It's a serious business. And FinCEN and the federal government is not messing around. So that's my job, to kind of enlighten people and educate people on what's going on. This will impact close to 35 million businesses and 5 million businesses each year. So this is going to impact us, more than most things that happen in Washington. And for some reason, these new rules have been swept under the rug and not really getting any type of alarm bell reactions from small business community, which it should, absolutely should. I've gone online, checked YouTube. There's just not a lot of videos. Maybe people don't understand these rules. Maybe it's my job to help educate people, but we should all be worried. Is this a slippery slope? What's next? What is the federal government, what is the IRS going to be asking from us next? This is potentially an overreach. They have access to this data through audit and other sources, but now they're basically asking us to wrap it up in a nice silver bow and package it to them, leave it a part of like an Amazon Prime box on the doorsteps of the federal government with all our information on all these businesses so they can do whatever they want to do with it. So again, sorry to upset anyone's New Year's. I want you to enjoy your New Year's, have a great time. Spend time with family, friends, but be safe, no drinking and driving, be responsible, be cautious. And I hope to see everyone in 2024. And I look forward to a great year where we can talk about hopefully some really good new initiatives. I did a podcast, but if you missed it, it was an ad bits. There is some potential legislation, and hopefully it will get passed towards the end of the year that will allow Roth IRAs to be rolled into Roth 401ks, and that's a bipartisan piece of legislation. So that's a good step. That's something I've been voicing support for years. So I think that will help retirement investors. Otherwise, looking forward to some other positive retirement legislation, and excited to just learn and share information with all of you. So happy, healthy New Year. I hope 23 was great, and I hope 24 is even better. Wishing you and your family only good health, prosperity, and success in the new year. Take care, be safe, and I'll talk to everyone again in 2024. Thanks, and take care.